All right. Some background. One of the users posted an email about a text-to-speech program that was available on GitHub, and he actually was using it to create his WAV files for contesting. And it was something that we weren't aware of. And Tom downloaded it and started to play with it, and then he pinged me and said, "Hey, this sounds really good." So Tom and I tag teamed, and we integrated that software program into N1MM Logger and added all of the support around it to make the integration seamless. Um, we both were active in the North American QSO party with the first cut of the software, and we made it available for others to use. But I don't think there was anybody else that tried it. But we added a lot of hooks and fixed a lot of issues um, so that it integrates tightly, and we reduced the time that it takes to build the.
John, can I interrupt for a sec?
Yep.
On your menus, can you go to where it says slideshow and
Yep.
choose slideshow? I think it's F5, but
Yeah,
I'm
I
not.
can, I can, I'm gonna lose the other screen, but I'll do that.
Okay. That's a request from the
So,
analysts.
um, so, we integrated it into the program. We collaborated, Tom and I collaborated daily and, sometimes, in the evening, to work through how best to integrate it into, our software. Um, I wrote the audio subsystem that's in N1MM Logger, so that was a perfect match to collaborate to add this feature. So we ended up um, adding the support through function key messages and macros, and the end product supports ESM. It'll speak the serial numbers, the QSX frequency, just like Logger Plus Audio, and call stacking is also supported, either as a single operator or a multi-op with a partner. Um, so after you install today's software version and download the files, um, and you only need one of the model's files, you can stop after the first one. You no longer need an internet connection to make this work. Everything is running on your PC. And it's possible, the way we have it configured, it's possible to install the software on another PC by just copying two directories. There's no embedded hooks in the registry. There's no installation. Um, so if you ever get stuck and you want to add it to another PC, and you don't have internet, you can just copy the two Piper directories to the other PC, and you'll be up and running. Generation of the voice, uh, your own voice model is possible. Right now, we've switched gears. We're finished. We released this version today to the public. We'll be, I'm sure somebody will find some bugs or errors that we have to fix. But uh, Steve N2IC and Tom are already talking about the steps needed to create the model, your own model. It's not a simple process. Carrie OH2XX has already done it. He recorded 1,000 files, WAV files, and ran the post-processing program on a computer with 16 that you rent time on. It's already pre-configured. It's about 50 cents an hour, and it has 16 virtual CPUs, I think 64 gigs of memory. It has a NVIDIA GPU with 24 gigs of memory in the GPU, and there's something else. I guess the disk space is rather large, and it ran for 12 hours to create his model, and so it's going unless we find errors in the method and ways to short circuit it, creating your own voice model is not going to be something you can do in an afternoon.
John, was that same process used for all these models? That sounds at
Yes.
odds with. Oh, it was okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the original authors or the originators of these models, at one time they did the same thing.
Okay.
And you can tell that when you play with this, I made a function key that played all the numbers and all the phonetics, and some of them weren't worded correctly, so I discarded those models because I knew a ham wouldn't use them. And some of them uh, don't do well with some of the numbering either. So it's the speech of the person that recorded the messages. Any other questions? It's important that everybody get the idea of the big picture here. You press a function key and the computer does the speaking for you, and you just operate the keyboard like you're in a CW contest, and behind the scenes everything gets all the wording gets parsed up, wave files get created, and it gets sent to your radio. It's all seamless. So here's the steps for the first time install. Um, Today's version is the first public version with text-to-speech added, and I won't bore you with the details, but you can just go through and follow this, and after you have the uh, software installed and at least one voice model downloaded, there's a prompt that's after it downloads the first voice model. It says, "Do you want to quit here?" You can come back and download the other 26 if you want, or you can just play around with the first one. Maybe it's not your cup of tea, and you're done. But the models take almost 1.65 gigabytes of disk space. So on some internet connections, it's going to take a little while to download those things. Any questions?
John, you said the current version, public version, has all of this now, right? And what
Yep.
version is that?
Yep. Today.
It's the one I installed for you, Ed.
Today's version.
That's why I asked. You're running today's version, John, Ed. And Ed is going to give us a demonstration when we're finished.
Yep. So when you're doing your initial testing, I gave you an example here. The TTS macro is what says, hey, parse this up with the text-to-speech program, and take the call sign, take your call sign, and convert it to phonetics. So in my case, it'll say Kilo 3 Charlie Tango when I press this function key. And basically, if you've never used Logger Plus Audio, you might have to pick a sound card to play back the voice and adjust the audio level. But if you're already using Logger Plus Audio, the levels are ready to go. Your radio will key, and the sound will go out the radio. So, and you place the program and run, press the key, and then you can play with the different models. If you downloaded more models, you can select a new model, hit the F4 key. Select a new model and hit the F4 key.
John,
And
remind me what the ICAO acronym is, or what is that?
International Civil Aircraft Organization, Airport Organization. Aircraft or airport, it's one or the other.
phonetics.
Civil aviation, that's it.
Yeah.
What is what does ICAO do again? Remind me.
It converts letters to phonetics.
Letters to phonetics. Okay, got it. Okay, so
Using the ICAO abbreviations, which is Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
okay, so that anytime we see that, we will get a phonetic representation of whatever text that follows, even if it's in a macro, such as the asterisk.
Right.
Well, the asterisk is what gets your call sign.
Yeah.
And your call sign is just letters and numbers. So the macro converts that to phonetics.
As opposed to an exclamation point, which would be his call sign.
Yep.
Okay.
And then it passes that to the text-to-speech software. Text-to-speech software generates a WAV file, and the Logger Plus audio subsystem plays it. And
do we have does the operator function work in the message editor?
Yeah, if you've said separate function keys per operator, yes.
Well, no, my question is to John, is that enabled with text to speech?
Yes, function keys are per operator. You can make function key files per operator.
Okay, so all of my message editor files that have the operator, in brackets, I can keep that and.
No.
Well, that's my question then.
Yeah, you don't use the operator macro with text to speech.
That was my question then. Okay, so the answer is no. Operator and text to speech are not yet integrated.
It will never. It's not used. It will never be integrated.
And why is that?
Because this generates the WAV file when you press the key.
Right.
Okay, so so what I was thinking is that there might be the desire to have different voicing per operator, and that operator macro might enable that, but that is not the case.
So my question then would be, if I do an op-on, is MM keeping track of which voice I wish to use versus someone else?
No.
Okay.
No. So there's a penalty, a time penalty when you change the voice model.
Okay.
And that'll create, if you want to get fancy and change that on a per function key basis, have your exchange, your CQ as a female and your exchange as a gruffy male voice, it incurs a time penalty. So we did not make that. You can change it and play messages and experiment, but it's not something that we want you to do as an operator while you're operating.
So you're committed to the model voice for the session until you change that.
Yeah.
All of your messaging will be in that model voice.
Yes.
One last question that's related to what Ed said. You could mix the function key messages, though. You could use the operator and WAV files as well as the text-to-speech on a different function key, correct?
So, I'll bring that up later on. You cannot combine a text-to-speech message and a standard WAV file in the same function key.
Agreed, but on a different function key you could.
On a different function key, you can play a standard Logger Plus audio WAV file. Yes.
Right, because you wouldn't want to try to concatenate the two.
Well, when you use text to speech, concatenate is turned off.
Exactly.
That's coming up also.
Okay.
All right, so we'll let you cover that, John. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Hey, John, I have a question about levels. I mean, when Piper generates the text, is it automatically level to what you have set for your microphone?
Is it automatically leveled?
I guess the question is, does the user need to worry about the levels that are coming out of the text-to-speech algorithm?
No, but you will if you're interleaving standard WAV files and text-to-speech WAV files.
Yeah, you would want to take some output, Dave, and run it into Audacity, play the text to speech, and then make your WAV files have the same amplitude.
I'm just suggesting that in the real world, you may not be able to completely eliminate the microphone.
No,
So,
absolutely.
No,
I agree. I agree.
So-
never.
Yeah.
they have to be about the same, I would think, the levels.
Yep.
So there's no issue with using text-to-speech and then using your mic. There's no issue with that because you can adjust just like you did before in Logger Plus Audio. You can adjust the output level that goes to your radio, and you play your text-to-speech message, adjust the level to your radio's liking, and when you speak, you adjust your microphone gain to your microphone.
Okay.
So now those two are the same. The problem comes in if you're going to play a WAV file that you recorded prior. That most likely will be recorded at a different level, and there's
Right.
no way to go and have a level for each sound source. It's one common level going into, in Logger Plus Audio. We view this as if you're going to use text-to-speech, you use text-to-speech and you fill in with the mic when you have to. If you, the speech is very good. I don't know why you would want to play a standard WAV file when, the text, the speech that comes out of this thing is adequate.
No, I wasn't suggesting that, John. I was suggesting that the operator is going to have a headset on, and theoretically the mic is going to be live. And at some point in time, he's going to say, the station ending in Delta. I mean, he's going to want to say that.
He can, yeah. So
And compression's going to make for a lot of level differences, for sure.
And well, Dave, that's your radio and mic adjustment. You still have two adjustments. You still have the radio mic adjustment, and you still have the audio subsystem coming from adjustment. You have two adjustments. You make those the same.
Very
So
good.
you can use the mic.
You answered my question.
Yeah. All right. So now I'll run through the macros here. There's 7 macros that were added for text-to-speech, and I'll explain each one of them. TTS, it just converts the text-to-speech and it plays the WAV file. And now you can modify that text. You already saw ICAO, which converts the text to phonetics. There's other modifiers that can be placed inside of the TTS macro. So here's the rules. You can change the playback speed, and I have a function key example at the end here. And Ed, I sent it to you in email this morning, so you could use it today.
Good. And John, you had changed you made that a macro versus an argument in the command line with the 0.8 and the 1.0. It looks like with the TTS speed. Is that true?
I know what you're talking about. I'll explain the
Good.
speed
Keep going,
macro.
keep going. Yep.
Yeah, I'll explain the speed macro. We don't want to confuse everybody
Yep,
else.
yep, yep.
Right, yeah, that's why.
So you can, the text that you place in the macro, you can use exclamation point, comma, period, and question mark, which modifies the spacing or the intonation. You don't put any of these characters outside of the TTS macro. We know that there's a delay that's added when you have a period, a space, and then a capitalized word. Just like a sentence, if you're reading a sentence, there's a delay. We know that if you put 10 spaces, it treats it as one. So a space, multiple spaces don't buy you anything. A single comma adds a nice small delay, like a pause between your CQ and your call sign. Adding 2 commas doesn't add twice the delay. It like ignores the second comma. And sometimes you misspell the text to improve some of the phrases, and you'll see an example of that in the function key message at the end.
John, do you have a legend for the exclamation, comma, period, and question mark? Is that somewhere?
A legend.
Yeah, what does an exclamation point do versus a comma versus a period versus a question mark?
So if you're reading a sentence, it's the same thing. If you an exclamation point raises,
Emphasis.
yes, and
Okay.
the question mark is a query statement.
So again. Okay,
Just like if you're reading a book, right?
Very good, thank you.
So we've been through the phonetic one already. It converts the text that you have to phonetics. The star is your call sign. The exclamation point is the standard macro for his call sign. That's how you send the other station's call sign. The speed macro changes the playback speed of the message. And 10 is the standard playback speed. 3 is faster. There's no way you want to go below 3, so we limited it to 3. And if you put in 10, something greater than 10, the code changes it to 10. This macro is placed outside of the text-to-speech macro. It can be anywhere in the line, the function key line, because it gets executed first and it gets removed from the function key text. But you only can have one speed macro, and it can be any place in the line. If you need to have 2 speed macros, use the end macro and place your second message, your second TTS macro, and your speed in the end after the end macro. There is some small penalty. There is some small penalty for playing for changing the speed of the messages. Typically, we're seeing about 150 milliseconds to parse up and convert a text to speech without changing the speed. If you change the speed, it adds another 100, maybe 150 milliseconds. Tom and I are both using well-built modern laptops. It's a laptop CPU, but it has plenty of cores and they're pretty speedy. So when you press your function keys, most of the time if you have a modern computer, you're not going to know what's all going on in the background.
So what is the minimum recommended hardware?
N2IC has this an old 4-core desktop that draws like 120 watts. It's an old beast of a computer, but it's about almost 20 years old, and it plays okay on his computer. but it's a desktop CPU.
Okay,
You'll know it if you don't have.
right.
One thing is I wouldn't expect if you have a 16-bit CPU. That goes back 32-bit CPU. That goes back pretty far. It probably the text-to-speech software probably won't run on on 32-bit CPU. But well, I'm sure we'll run across somebody with severe runtime errors. This macro gets placed inside of the TTS macro, and it speaks the call sign that's in the call sign box as individual letters with delay between the characters. So N3RD instead of November 3 Radio Delta. And we modified the A doesn't, speaking the A doesn't come out real well, so we behind the scenes changed it to EYH. And that, that's what we send to the text-to-speech software instead of A. If we run across other letters like that, we'll do the same thing. But both Tom and I played all the letters and all the numbers in many of these models that you guys are using. So here's an example of using that space call if you in your F5 message. So OH2XX created his own voice model. He came to us and said, when I'm playing the other guy's call sign, there's a huge delay between the F5 and the F2 message. When he sent me his wave files, it was pretty clear that his model, his speech model, it was generating very long tails on some of his messages and some very long delays before the wave starts. So, and it's his model, something in his model. So we wrote code to go through the wave file and find where the audio starts that is above a threshold value, and then we start from the end of the wave file and go backwards until we find where the silence ends at the end of the wave file, and chop out the middle part of the wave file and send it to the audio card. And we embedded that into a macro. So if you need to trim a message, you can use the TTS trim to force a trim of the wave file. And if you don't use the modifier to the threshold modifier, it automatically uses a threshold of 1,000, which seemed to be pretty good. I just thought of something here. And I'll have to.
So John, you threw me for a curve on that one because you commingled wave files and TTS, and I thought that was a no-no. So just I was
TTS creates a wave stream, a PCM stream.
Yeah,
which is a wave file. So what was
okay? So it's the other way around. It's TTS creating a wave file versus okay.
Yeah, these are all TTS functions.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, after we finish this, I'm already thinking about how to integrate it into the standard wave player, because the hard work's done. But I can't override the user's wave files, so I got to think about it some more. But eventually, I expect I'll be able to reuse this code in the original wave player, wave files that we've made in the past. So manually trimming our wave files might be a thing of the past. So software sends number with the pound sign. It'll parse up the number and speak the number. Tom said, "Hey, it would be nice if we could voice the number differently, as 1256 or as 1256." So we made two macros to voice up the serial number into two different formats. And probably we'll be using one of these two and not necessarily the main. Well, you have three ways to voice the number. Let me put it that way. So you have your choices of how to voice a serial number. Here's an example of a function key for a contest. And I deliberately put some things in here to show them as an example. So you could say parse up K3CT, or you can say parse up star, which is your station call sign. Those are equivalent. When you play this, it's going to say it's going to repeat Kilo 3 Charlie Tango twice. Using of the comma, to put a little bit of delay between. Here's the shorthand. Thanks, Kilo 3 Charlie Tango. Reused it here. If you really want to make the delay as short as possible from between the other guy's call and the exchange, you can trim the call sign message. The wave to speech system does a really good job of starting the waveform very close to the beginning of the wave file. But in some cases, we've seen tails that could be 150 or 200 milliseconds as the speech decays.
So John, that function, that trim looks for those gaps in those wave files.
It takes the file that got generated from the wave to speech software. It starts at the beginning of the wave file and finds where the silence ends, and then it starts at the end of the wave file and goes backwards to find out where the last part of the phrasing or the last part of the waveform exists.
So basically you would start without the trim function because it's already got a trim of 1,000 built in.
No.
And then if it doesn't sound right, then you add trim?
No.
Okay.
No. So if you don't use the trim macro, you get no trimming. You get exactly what the text-to-speech software provides. If you want to make it bare minimum, you can add this trim function, or you can add the trim function and even bump up the level, the threshold, so it's more aggressive.
Okay.
And if you make it too aggressive, it's going to trim off the beginning parts and the ending part of your message.
So all that time that I spent with trimming up my .wave files, this can expedite that. Beautiful.
If I incorporate it into the standard audio player, yes.
No, I'm saying before that, but normally I'm just, doing my recording. I didn't get it quite right. I got 100 milliseconds. Re-record.
Yeah, no, this does it. So this does it before it gets sent to the wave player.
Got it.
So trimming it does take a little bit of time. It's only on our PCs. These short, like a call sign message, we are only seeing it removing about 20 to 40 milliseconds of time off the beginning of the message, and 150 or 100 milliseconds at the end. and it completes it in like 4 or 6 milliseconds.
Beautiful.
It's crazy fast. It's um, it's a the code does a block copy. You just need to find where the sweet spot of the speech is, and then you know the beginning and the ending part of the file, and it just well, it's in memory. I read it into memory, and just copy out the block and leave everything else behind. It's crazy fast. So here's an example of QRZ misspelling a word. He's misspelled Z question mark. It comes out really nice. And then just for added, here's another feature, this stacking, call sign stacking. This is available in CW and also available on speech with your WAV files now. But it also works with text to speech, and this is how you do it. You set one function key to do your stacking. You set another function key that gets executed when there's a call sign on the stack. Oops, sorry. And you need to go and set your next call selector to F11 because that's what does the magic. And it's you got to be in run and ESM has to be on.
John,
But
I've never used stack. I don't want to take a long time now, but how do you populate the stack?
So you so you type in first call sign, you hit the F8 key, you
Yeah.
type in the second call sign, you work
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
and when you log that station, it automatically pops the call off the stack and sends that guy's name, that guy's call sign and his exchange.
I love it.
But that works on CW and phone.
And ready.
Yep. And reading.
I knew it was there for RTTY. Did not know it was there for the other modes. Good.
All right, I think this is the last slide. So the N macro can be used to play a second message at a different speed if you want. You put the N macro and then you put another text to speech, TTS, whatever you want afterwards. So it plays the first one, then it plays the second. If you change the call sign after you start the message, it's not going to get played. And that's because when it parses up and turns the text, the call sign text of the other station to speech, you can't change that because it converts the text to a WAV file and then plays it. So you have to get in the habit of typing the full call sign before you hit the enter key in ESM. I'm so used to hitting the enter key and then typing the rest of the call sign on CW.
Yeah.
And you can do it in Logger Plus Audio. You can hit the enter key and finish typing the call sign, and it'll add the additional WAV files as the WAV player is playing. But you can't do that with text to speech.
So,
We
John,
already
is that just on that point? If you screwed up the call sign and sent it, if you retype it and resend it again, it creates another wave.
So you have two options.
Yeah.
You can hit the escape key and
Yeah.
start the message again, or the auto correction works. So when before the thank you message, it'll pronounce the guy's full call or partial call depending how you have it set, just like it does on CW, and it'll auto correct the call sign before it sends the thank you message. It's all built into text to speech.
Well, that's pretty acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no force log macro capability because we ripped the guts out of um, there may be other things that are missing, but force logging, it won't work when you're using text to speech. It's possible to add that, but it might cause some problems. We're just going to see how it goes. I already mentioned there's some execution overhead when you change the voice model, but you're only going to play with that in the beginning and then not change that. And there's a little bit of overhead when you change the speed, the playback speed. And I already mentioned that when text to speech is used, the concatenation is turned off.
What does that mean? I'm not following that point.
So in the standard audio wave player, you can play the wave files one at a time, or you can play them concatenated together.
Got it.
There's a box in Logger Plus Audio to turn on wave file concatenation.
If that box was checked, you're just turning it off. We don't actually have to go and turn it off.
I've never had it. Okay.
I turn it off in software. I don't
Great.
believe I uncheck it and save it.
Great.
Yeah. All right. Any questions?
No.
Outstanding work.
Yeah, this was exciting. Exciting 3 weeks. 3
How
weeks
many hours? How many hours, John?
We had some long sessions. Susie said it's like you're at work again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was exciting, and it was great working with Tom. He would take on a piece of the coding for the day. I would take on another piece. We put them together, and we'd have a session to talk about how we're going to implement this, what we're going to do, and he had a lot of good ideas. So it went well.
Can you send this prezo out to the
It's
to
on.
the group?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it's on the Facebook, the N1MM Logger Facebook page too.
No, I'm not a Facebook guy, so.
All right. Yeah, I can send it on.
And we recorded it as well.
Yeah, I'll put I'll send you the link because we put
Thanks,
it
pal.
on Google.
That's all we need.
All right, I'm done.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bravo.
I think I really expect that people are going to find some quirks and bugs and things because we've just had a limited user base testing this. So, but we'll work through the issues and we'll patch the holes where people do things they're not supposed to. But we had like 150 downloads of the experimental version, so it got some exposure. Alrighty.
So you're going to show us, Ed?
Yeah, remind me what I got to do. Just share a screen here, boys?
Yep, share the screen.
Okay, where am I? Right here. And I'm going to share this screen, right?
Yes. Good.
You got it?
So there's the concatenate all wave files, which
Yeah.
is unchecked because you weren't doing that in the first place. So go to the far right hand tab on top.
Yeah.
And that's where you choose your voice. And you had the US Joe medium as opposed to the M&M. That's the download a model file button that John was talking about. And show them what you already did.
Yeah, you don't need to download the files if it's already.
No, everything's out. So
go ahead, drop it.
Yeah, just to get an example, you can get a sense of what we have here. And I've been through. Does the mouse not work on that? All right.
The mouse works fine.
Yeah, I've been through all of these, and John, as you said, you'll like some, you won't like others, and what do we have? 30 some out of these? I guess I don't have the latest list.
24, I think.
24? Okay, because I guess this is about 24. So some of them are interesting. Some of them are.
Ryan is a good one, and Kathleen.
Yeah.
Do you have Kathleen? Yeah, Kathleen. I like Kathleen, and I like Ryan.
Yeah. So we'll just demo a couple of them. My favorite was Joe, and then what we did is Go ahead.
Go to the monitor tab now.
Yeah.
Monitor, far left. And this is where Dave RD's question came from. The slider that says, yeah, that one right there is going to let you set the output level of the voice files. Now go to voice meter and click the X like you were closing voice meter.
Here?
Yes, close it. Good. Okay, it's still working. I changed the way it's configured. So now, do you have any working macros according to John's setup here?
I think so. So, I used a couple of basic.
Ed, I emailed you the full function key
Yes.
file.
I'm running way behind, John, today, so that will be incorporated. But I just did some of the basics here instead of using the macro just to test it. So you'll see I took my old run messages for that, just commented everything out and then just added some. And again, here I'm typing the whole thing out. I'm not using the star. In some cases, I'm using the asterisk. I'm just trying a bunch of different things. And John, I think earlier you had a command line argument that was somewhere after here with a comma and a 0.8 to work on the speed of the TTS wave file, and that looks like that has since been revised. So
right.
Yeah, we needed the comma to add the space in the text.
Yes.
And the multiple question marks won't work.
Exactly. Right? So that's why that was me doing some testing early on.
But one will work, and they'll just get ignored. That's all. Anyway.
Yeah. And that was when I was testing that, and and John and I were going back and forth. I said, John, what is a question mark? What does the space do? Blah, blah, blah. So now we know.
So click save.
All right. So we'll save that.
And those are your run messages. So put yourself in run.
Yeah. And we're here in run and.
CQ contest whiskey 2 Mike Kilo Mike contest. CQ contest whiskey 2 Mike Kilo Mike contest.
Type in a call sign and hit F5.
All right, and then also I see, John, that you put the message at the bottom of the EW, so we can see that. All right, and we can do
Kilo 2 X-ray Romeo. Kilo 2 X-ray Romeo. Kilo 2 X-ray Romeo, Ed, New Jersey.
Yeah, if you hit F5, F2, it'll play them together, just like in CW.
Yeah.
Or the insert key.
ESM, right?
No, you can hit F5 and F2. It'll play them one after another.
Yeah.
Kilo 2 X-ray Romeo. Kilo 2 X-ray Romeo, Ed, New Jersey.
I might have screwed that macro up. Do I have your call sign in there? No.
Well, whatever. We're just looking to hear what it sounds like.
Right.
I think.
Then,
thanks QRZ. Thanks QRZ. Whiskey 2 Mike Kilo Mike. Whiskey 2 Mike Kilo Mike.
So why don't you change to a different model? So
So now we'll come over to, that was Joe. We'll go over to Kathleen.
And there's wave files. There's model files for other languages. I downloaded a German one, and it speaks German.
Cool.
CQ contest whiskey 2 Mike Kilo Mike contest. CQ contest whiskey 2 Mike Kilo Mike contest.
Oh, I'm in
Kilo
love.
2 X-ray Romeo, Ed, New Jersey.
Hey, Joe's gonna come back to you.
Whiskey 2 Mike Kilo Mike.
And then we got Ryan.
So the difference between low and medium is the sampling speed, and the medium sampling speed is 22 kilohertz. Low is 16 kilohertz, and I guess it uses less. There's less accuracy in the low, but for radio, audio, low is perfect for. And the files are smaller.
Yeah.
Off-topic question, because I know there's at least several programmers here. What does it take to integrate this into any app? Let's just say, how is this called?
So writes a file, and then you need to deal with that file. You can define the file that it writes. You can send it the speed that it plays.
I'm asking, is it a Python app, or is it a standalone exe, or
It's written in Python, but it's compiled to an exe for our use.
okay?
And that's the Piper app,
Yep.
Yes.
John? Okay.
Yep.
So we're using that as a black box. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yep. And I'm asking, how do I use it for my apps? That's all.
Gotcha.
So there's two repositories on GitHub for
Right.
Piper.
Okay.
We're using the older repository because of the licensing.
Okay.
The new licensing for the newer repository, the license has changed, and we can't agree to their requirements.
Okay.
All right. And just a couple final changes. And by the way, to John's earlier point,
CQ contest, Whiskey 2 Mike Kilo Mike contest.
you can change the pace of these, right? So John, these will go up from,
Yeah, you can add the speed macro.
Yeah, you're going to spend a lot of time tweaking it before
Exactly.
the contest. Is that right?
And during, yeah.
Wow.
So like 23:30 Zulu is a good time to start setting this up.
That's
Yeah,
when
right.
that's when I want to start.
Kilo 2 X-Ray Romeo at New Jersey.
Now, my personal favorite is this here.
CQ contest Whiskey 2 Mike Kilo Mike contest.
Yeah, he's had a lot
CQ
of
contest
coffee.
Whiskey 2 Mike Kilo Mike contest.
I love it.
5-9 Detroit.
Exactly.
Answer me now. Those Italian guys that are screaming, ah!
So, as you guys can see, with all the the changes that you have to make in the message editor file, it's lots of playing around, and I didn't get nearly enough time playing around before tonight, but especially now we got some of the new macros, and hence my question to let's get that presentation so we can start playing with these. So I think it's going to make worldwide fun. Andy and Dave are like, "Oh, Posty, you're full of baloney," but I don't know. So one final question, John, is there a way to if we use just the text-to-speech as a separate operator, like just if I have that as, W2MKM TTS, we can still use the operator function, go back and forth between, a whole TTS and each of our standard WAV files.
Absolutely.
Johnny, you're on mute, buddy. CT, you're on mute.
As long as you say function keys per operator, yes.
Good. All right.
So just in my little bit of diddling with this, because I've had it on the air here and there, this is going to be fun domestically with the native English speakers, but going back and forth between WAV files and the TTS, it seems like at least particularly the Europeans were acting like the South Americans with the TTS messages, where I had to intervene with my own voice to get them to copy.
Good for field day and sweepstakes. But
All right.
ZF9CW did an outstanding job with WAV file, with speech, remote speech that way. So I know Charlie K3WW was really looking forward to this presentation. I don't know if he made it or not, but I told him we were recording it, and he says, "This is how I'm going to do SO2R single sideband remote."
That's right.
There he is.
Yeah, I missed the first minute.
Okay. Oh, you didn't miss much. All right, so
XR,
John, anything else you wanna show here while we've got the cockpit open?
No.
I think you both did an outstanding job. Thank you so much.
No, again, hats off, because this is going to make, as they say, make SSB interesting again.
Yeah, very nice work. Very, very nice work, John. Overall, very impressed with for a 3-week development. It's pretty fantastic.
And now your station, Ed, is set up for doing that sort of a presentation.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dave. I
I
appreciate
made
it.
some changes that you don't know about, so we do need to get and spend a little bit of time
Well,
together.
this is like an open source shack. I got, Andy's radios and switches. I got your stuff. I got Dano's stuff over here. It's a true collaboration, and I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Well,
Half tower will travel.
what this also means is that the remote desktop only access stations can be used on all 3 modes now instead of just on CW and Digi.
Here, here.
Can you create your own model with this?
Yes, but it's not a trivial task.
Not ready for prime time.
Yeah, we're now that this development is done and the software's in the public, a few of us are working on trying to come up with that recipe. So OH2XX has created his model. He recorded 1,000 files, 1,000 phrases, and he passed them off to the software to create the model, and it took 12 hours of running it on a high-power computer with 12 CPUs and a GPU accelerator.
It seems like an application that puts a script up on the left-hand side of the screen and records what you have been told to read, and creates, gets you to speak all the appropriate files, and then.
Yeah, I looked at Kerry's list, and he has a lot of WAV files beginning with 5.9 and WAV files beginning with Japan Alpha. It seems like too much redundancy.
Yeah. Jerry, W1VE, was doing training with an awful lot less content. He was speaking like 50 common sentences, and that was enough for the model to pick up his voice characteristics, and the rest was.
Well, if we have the phonetics and the numbers and ham radio phrases, get off my frequency, and other things like that, Paisan, it should be enough.
Yeah.
We also don't have heavy Finnish accents to have AI break down.
No, but you've given birth to a new son here, and I'm sure that it's going to grow in leaps and bounds.
Yeah, John.
With all the input.
On CW, I use force log a lot. Not a lot. I use it, but so that's not usable in this, right?
Why do you use force log?
I knew you'd ask me that. It seems like I do. I'm not sure. I've always had it.
That was created by the devil.
I used to use force log, and then I said, wait a minute, log it works, and I changed over to that, and I don't have that force log.
So what you're bypassing is the logic that makes sure your exchange is valid.
Right.
You're logging exchanges that have errors in them and don't know it.
Okay. That's why you would use it. All right.
But Alt A will work.
No, Alt A wouldn't work.
Alternate ender is a force log shortcut.
Right.
Force log makes some kind of file that every time you use it, it makes a file that you used force log, like it creates something that you don't need. So.
Right.
But if I want to log a contact without saying thank you, K3WW.
Alt enter.
Alt enter. Yeah, okay, yeah. So that still works. That's not a force log.
Yeah, it is.
That'll work.
Okay.
But you won't, in text to speech, you're not going to say anything then. Yeah.
Correct, because I'm saying something on the other computer, but I'm getting that guy out of the way.
Yeah.
Of course, if I learn to stack I wouldn't have to do that.
Yep. Stacking is sweet.
Chaz, Chaz, do you?
sorry,
Sorry,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
On
No,
the
go
stacking,
ahead.
Chaz, do you stack? Do you use that? Okay.
No.
Oh my God! Don't, now he's got another tool. God forbid.